So I had posited this question to you of like, if we were going to do one live action video game movie, what would it be? And I know Minecraft had just come out in theaters at the time, and I said, but you, like, without hesitation, you were like, Warcraft. And that wasn't even in my top 5 of what I was thinking about. Like, I totally, not forgotten about it, but like I wasn't thinking that direction at all. But I was just like, like, oh, hey, Minecraft's out, maybe let's have fun. And I mean, I know we talked Super Mario Brothers, but we haven't really talked a live action video game. So it was fun to go back, because honestly, I've only seen this movie once before this rewatch. And I was with you, I believe you, and I went to go see it together. So to get into it, essentially, I want to like this movie so much. I don't know what it is. I mean, I like Duncan Jones as a director. I think he's undervalued and underrated in a lot of ways. I think he does really good stuff. The story just doesn't feel right to me in here, or the execution of it. Now, I can get into this is like high fantasy, like well above Game of Thrones, even the Rings of Power, which I would consider like much higher fantasy than like, Game of Thrones. But like, this is like crazy high fantasy, which is, I was all in for. I'm like, hey, this is what the game's kind of like. Let's enjoy it. I didn't really feel like it was too fan servicey in a lot of ways. Like, they did some fun little nods, but again, in much the same way, if you didn't know it didn't detract from the story, right? The problem is I think this is not the story they should have told. Like, I understand, like, this is kind of the beginning of the orcs versus humans, and let's be honest, I don't know how into the lore you ever were, but the lore of Warcraft has been retconned so many times that it's like doesn't even start to make sense anymore. You're kind of like, wait, what's going on? So, and this movie retcons it even again. So like it threw me off a little bit, and that just in that, and also I think it spent too much time trying to humanize the orcs in a lot of ways. Like, obviously make the bad guys, but Duratan has to be a good guy. Obviously his Draka, his wife, needs to be a good guy too. Like, kind of trying to see that dichotomy, even though like that happened before they came over and like the real story, and then this whole long process. I mean, there was so much here that I was like, I understand wanting to make sure that you're not just painting the orcs as the bad guys, but literally in the story, those who came over, they were the bad guys. Like, that's kind of, I think that would have made it a little bit more interesting, though it felt like we waffled too much a little bit. So, I mean, this really just needed to be the start of Arthas' story and be like a duology or trilogy, and just call it a day. That's what we all wanted. Let's get past this. Let's do Warcraft 3. We would have gone on. But again, I wanted this to be good. I wanted them to do more. I think Blizzard themselves make some of the best in-game cinematics, or even just out-of-game cinematics, of any company out there, that I'm just like, this, maybe my expectations were too high, but pretty sure everybody else on the planet kind of feels the same way.
I'm kind of surprised. I'm still baffled. It's almost been a decade. I'm still baffled that this is the story we got from, like, with Blizzard approval. I'm kind of beside myself. And then I also, even if the story stays the same, I think they completely blew the tone of this film.
Okay, all right.
It is so self-serious and self-important and lacking in any significant moments of, like, comedy, which doesn't line up with especially World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is a very funny game. The player base is very in tune with humor and like, and so full disclosure.
Yeah. Let's just get it out there.
Cat's out of the bag now. It's been several years since I stopped playing World of Warcraft, but you got me hooked, I think, in 05 or 06.
Yeah, like a terrible person
and
that I am.
I played off and on up until probably 3 years ago. I don't know, maybe longer, but
I think it was a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I'm not as in tune with the lore as you are, but I'm still very familiar with the game, and so I kind of saw the potential that a feature film should have had with everything they had available. And yeah, it's like, really? This is what we got?
This is what we got, yeah. For me, one of the biggest things, like, I liked a lot of the casting. Again, I could understand why they're trying to make not all the orcs bad guys. You know, they're trying to set some of this up. My biggest issue, and this does not come anything against him, but I think Ben Foster as Medivh was literally the worst choice possible. He just doesn't feel it at all. Like, he's a phenomenal actor. Phenomenal. And I think like he did a great job. Either the direction wasn't there, or it's just he's not the right role. And I don't know what it was, because some of it would be like everyone else talks kind of with an accent or has that, you know, that more foreign feel. But then Khadgar, played by Ben something or other, I forget his last name.
Schnetzer, I think is his name, but
yeah, but Khadgar, he also speaks basically with an American accent, right? And he feels perfectly fine. So I don't know what it is about Ben Foster's portrayal of Medivh that frustrates me. But of course, I don't know. I do have to say, I still play the game. I'm still up on the lore, and a big shout out to Bacon and Kegs. So, guys, we'll see you in the next raid. Or we're already going to be raiding in the next raid, since this, I don't know when this comes out. But anyways, moving on. But, so I feel like he was a weak link, but other than that, most of the other people I was pretty happy with. Like, I was I enjoyed what they did, or the voice actors they brought in. Like, having Clancy Brown come in and play Black Hand, I think was perfect, even though I don't like how that all played out. So just
no.
Again, there's so many things that were right in this that were done correctly, that it just kind of boggles my mind how this was fumbled in a lot of ways. So
visually, I have to say it's held up.
Oh yeah, it's stunning. It
like
is.
The orcs especially are really impressive looking. Like, and I do like the look of the film. I like that they didn't shy away from a really kind of high contrast, high saturation image. I think that's great. I think it fits with the bright, kind of loud look of WoW. Yeah. So that's fine. No complaint with the visuals. The effects are all really good. It's visually like interesting to look at. Although I will say there are times where the movie feels like too small to me. Like the world feels like kind of barren. Like
even though we don't go to the Barrens.
No Barrens. And they only mention Red Ridge Mountains like just in passing.
Yeah, I know.
And the scenes of exposition just go on forever.
Ever. Yeah.
And it's like I'm still confused, like that this is what got approved. And I don't put a bunch of blame on Duncan Jones, because it's clear to me from a guy that gave me a movie of the quality of Moon. And yeah, he's got a writing credit on this, but this just feels like his first studio picture, and that he got strong-armed.
Yeah.
And and this feels like a movie that you would get by committee. Like that's what it's so plain, it's so vanilla. It's so uninspired. It feels like too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yep.
And this is what you get.
Well, and you know, it definitely has a lot of the old guard in it too, who had hard and fast rules on what was cool, what wasn't. Luckily, a lot of them have been kicked out of Blizzard due to other allegations and other things that have gone on.
Oh yeah, pretty toxic environment.
Yeah, pretty toxic environment. So you've got some of that too, of where like they just wouldn't allow certain things to happen, even though either the fan base wanted it, the players wanted it, and just you know, they were like never going to do it. So
but, I mean, I noticed something that it doesn't even do a good job of like laying things out for somebody that doesn't have familiarity with Warcraft. And I'll give you a perfect example of this.
Please.
At the very beginning, Duratan is talking about how his world is dying. And you don't get you don't really get any good visual representation of what that is. And so you don't know where they are. All you know is they're going into a portal and going somewhere else. They visually don't show you that it's a totally different planet, basically. They don't convey that at all. And I was like, why?
So I almost feel like I understand your concept of that. It was small in where they were at, like in the zones they were going into, the areas or whatever. It smelled a very like small world. Is that what you're kind of meaning?
No, not even the size. It's just like you don't get, other than the beginning when the orcs are all kind of moving towards the portal. You don't get a lot of like the hustle and bustle of like populated areas. You only get these big establishing shots of like Stormwind, and then the next time you're anywhere, you're like in an enclosed space with like 4 people.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they do that again and again and again in the movie.
Yeah.
And what it ends up is it makes the movie feel small, and then I can see the edges of the world.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about.
We have. See, I was thinking more along the lines of it feels a little too, how do I say it? Too gluttonous in the characters that it uses. Like, I feel like we have to, like, kind of like what you said, it doesn't set up someone who doesn't already know all of these characters and know basic background stuff, that even I was like, wait, was that Ogrim or was that Blackhand? Like if I just caught something, like, wait, I missed something. And it was, so it was a little frustrating. Like, there's just so many moving pieces here to get in a 2 hour something odd movie and still get across. And with all the thinking changes they made, and Garona being now a really good person, like again, like wrapping my head around some of these things in addition to also trying to follow the stories and get over Ben Foster being Medivh. I don't know that
it is ironic because he's the best actor, like as a thespian, like he's the best actor in it, but I think it's miscasting. I don't think it's him.
No, it's not.
I think Travis Fimmel is good as
I think he's fantastic.
Anduin. I'm not a huge Dominic Cooper fan. I think he's a good actor. I would have preferred to see somebody else as Lane.
Well, luckily, he's not going to be any others. So even if there are any
they
more,
make another one, only in a flashback, but
only flashback.
And then I know Paula Patton's like not considered like a great actress, or like even there's a lot of people that are like she's not a good actress. I like her finding as Garona. She was kind of maximizing her star power at the time. And she's still acting, but
she's fine.
She was in a couple Mission Impossible movies and did this, and so
I will say that I think if the story got smaller, and I think if we followed like Anduin Lothar a little bit more and told some of his story or whatever, or like saw from his point of view, I think it would have been better. I think they were just trying to do too much in a lot of ways, whereas like I didn't really feel like I got a lot of time with any of the characters, and so none of the characters had like a true arc in a lot of ways. Like I know, like even like the whole like switch over of like Lane and Garona becoming, somehow
comes out of
like,
left field.
Yeah,
it totally. There's no build up to it. It just starts.
It just happens. It's frustrating. I mean, my favorite parts though was when we were in Karazhan. I got to see Morose before he turned into a skeleton. The little tidbits and the little comments of when Khadgar turns a guard into a sheep and says only works on the weak-minded, because obviously you can't turn bosses into sheep. You can't polymorph them. Like that doesn't happen. Yeah. But again, these small little tidbits, but like for someone who doesn't play the game, like I don't know what you got from this. Like I don't know how you got through this, like you just.
Well, my daughter did watch it with me. It held her attention. She kind of was like intrigued because she wants me to start playing the game again. She always liked to watch me play.
Interesting.
And she's always
she remembers that?
Because she does. It's been years, and she remembers sitting beside me and like and it's pretty engaging. I mean, it's a cartoon, got a nice cartoon shader look to it that it's always had. But yeah, she's like, "Are you going to play that game again?" I was like, probably not. But she's like, "What's this?" I was like, "Oh, it's Warcraft. It's it's that game." She's like, "Oh, I'll watch that." So she watched it with me. But she didn't love it, but it held her attention, and
that's saying something though. That's at least
yeah.
Got her attention. She probably did the meh or whatever.
Well,
I always forget.
That's what I would say about this. No, I feel bad. I feel bad for the people kind of involved that made this, because you can tell, like at least visually, that there's been a lot of care into how things look and the animation and CGI work, and like it's a really stunning looking movie, but it just lacks a soul.
Yeah.
And as far as the tone, I only have to point to Dungeons and Dragons to show you the kind of tone that I think you could. And this wouldn't even have had to have been as funny as D&D.
No.
But certainly it's almost humorless. Like, and it makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I didn't even think about it, but yeah, Dungeons and Dragons is like the perfect, like, what this could have been, something.
And
something
I think
similar.
this might have made more money.
Yeah, well, especially in like 2016. I mean, you're out from its super heyday, but you're still pretty close of, you know, a lot of people who are thinking, you know, going back and thinking of like Wrath of the Lich King or even Cataclysm.
And see, Lich King's what they should have done a movie on.
It really should have been. It really should have been that storyline.
Yeah. That's what everybody was begging for.
Yeah.
I think that translates beyond the fan base. Because we've seen it before. It's such a similar story to Star Wars that I think it would have gone. I think it really would have exploded. I really do. I think word of mouth would have been amazing.
Yeah.
With Arthas and.
Yeah. I mean, because it is the typical hero that falls story, you know, and then that try to redeem him, and then of course in this case he doesn't get redeemed, you know, in the actual like Wrath of the Lich King storyline. But I mean, but it's, I don't know, it would have been a far much more interesting storyline. I think more people would have been familiar with it or easier to pick up than all of this.
Yeah.
And you could have just said, oh, we live in a world with orcs, you know, and Tauren and trolls and all this, and night elves and all this other stuff, and people would just be here for it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I don't even know if they world built that great in this either.
No.
I mean,
you got Ironforge, you got Stormwind, and then you've got a little bit of, like, obviously Karazhan, and then you've got, oh my goodness, what becomes the Blasted Lands, essentially.
Yeah.
So,
but elves are kind of left on the sideline.
Yep. I mean, pretty much it's just orcs and humans for the most part.
The dwarves are sideline too, which was a huge gripe for me. I was like,
oh my goodness.
I mean, it's cool that you see Ironforge, but it's like they don't
really show up.
I wonder if it would have been more compelling if we still follow around Anduin, but he's operating in the movie under like deep cover for most of the movie, kind of with his identity concealed and from the audience.
Okay.
That would be more interesting to me, because then I think especially if you feel like you've got a character that feels like it's supposed to be kind of created for the movie, even though it's really not if he's revealed to be Anduin, but that the viewer can kind of have the world unveiled through them.
Yeah.
And this movie doesn't have any. Everybody's like an established character from the lore. It almost feels like this movie needed like if you weren't going to reveal Anduin near the end or before the third act, then you would have needed a character that we could kind of follow that would almost operate the way kind of Khadgar does, but isn't known in the lore. That basically is the placeholder for the player in the game, right? That we all see the world through their lens, and it could even be comedy relief if they needed to be, like just how ridiculous this all is. But
they get to meet Anduin, and Anduin puts them on a quest because he's getting reports of things being destroyed.
Anything other than what we got.
Yeah.
It's so average, like I almost wish they would have taken like way more risks and it bombed and it was like a 3.9 on IMDb than this.
Than this middling 6.6.
This is so safe, like so painfully committee safe, don't do anything that's really outside the box, and it's just uninspired.
Yeah.
And I don't place any of the blame on Duncan Jones for that, because I know what he can do.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think a lot of times it is the people from Blizzard. I mean, I know Chris Metzen, who is responsible for a lot of the lore and the story concept, was heavily involved in this. And I'm going to tread lightly because a lot of people hold Metzen in high esteem. And I think he's got some good warranted reason why people keep him in high esteem. But I also don't think he's the be-all, end-all. And I think he has, just like anybody else, like Filoni has with Ahsoka, like he is very much like Thrall's his guy kind of a thing, and so I feel a lot of that push from that aspect to make sure that Thrall's introduced correctly as Moses, as Orc Moses, dropped in the river to be picked up.
Yep.
100%. Orc Moses.
Yeah.
That's actually that's another story that I would have been more interested in, is showing thralls kind of being raised by humans and then kind of given over to the camps, after one of the wars. And there's just so much more that again, this movie could have been, as opposed to this very basic kind of uninteresting story. So yeah. But no, I'm just not upset, just disappointed. Again, I really wanted to do it, and I don't really, outside of Ben Foster, it's really not the actors. I was all for Fimmel's portrayal of Anduin again.
Yeah,
I was right behind. I thought he was, though. I will say his son dying did nothing for me. That was just whatever. This is you're trying to make me feel things, you didn't earn it. This is not. There's so many other video game movies that I have watched, both before this and since this, that I feel did a better job of shepherding their worlds into a movie. I wouldn't say that any of them are fantastic, but I will say I think they did a better job of much more interesting story than this. But I also think you don't have the, I don't know, no other game company has the weight that Blizzard does behind their own IP.
No, and I almost wonder, now with, I don't know what the financials of Blizzard are right now, but the current landscape, if you were a video game company and things were going really, really well, with how disrupted Hollywood is now, I would think a company like Blizzard would have so much more final say on a feature film like this than they would have in 2016. They would have been asking, I forget which production company, if it's Universal, forget who is the big studio back behind this, but I would think now that Blizzard would have more creative control.
Universal.
It was Universal.
Yeah.
So now I don't know how much they would need Universal.
Yeah. Well, I think it's something you could do easily with a streaming service. Or instead of turning this into a 2-hour movie, make it into a 5, 6, 7 part miniseries, and start doing it that. Make it seasons of, and you don't even have one coherent story. You can have each little miniseries be its own timeline and finish that out. And so you don't have to have even the same characters. You can jump ahead in time and talk about, Varian Rin, and, or talk about, Bolvar, all these different stuff that could have been. So I think 2016 was just a weird year. We also, you're coming out of Disney just dropping its first Star Wars movie. They're dropping their second one in 6 months after this. That was Rogue One. So you had Force Awakens, and then this comes out in May, and then in 6 months, 6-7 months, you get Rogue One. So, and of course, we're also starting to get to the end of the Infinity War saga with Marvel. So you've got a lot to compete with that have been building and have large fan bases as well. It did terribly in the US. It did less than $50 million in the US, but all told it was over 400 million. So it got back its budget, but it was not the behemoth that they were hoping for.
No, $160 million production budget. So estimated.
Again, I honestly, I almost want to. I know doing shorts is a whole lot different than doing a full length feature film. There's a lot that the cinematics team at Blizzard can do in a short 2 to 4 minute video or in-game cinematic that is much more interesting than this, because they don't have to do all of the world building or whatever, because it's already all there. But I almost would be interested, just don't even give me live action stuff. Let them work on their own animated film using the cinematics engine and see what we get.
Well, I almost wondered how much did Blizzard do any of the VFX?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That actually, I'm not aware of it, but I know there was a lot of people who played.
It was ILM.
Oh, was it ILM? Yeah, because
Most
I know
of it.
I know a lot of the people who worked on it were players of the game. I don't think they worked. I mean, the only thing the people that worked for Blizzard were some of the story creatives that did it. Yeah.
Well, dailies and editorial and stuff were done by Sim, which doesn't exist anymore. That was a company I worked for a time.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I could tell you from right off the bat that just gets me every time is the Murloc noise. Just makes me freak out. Yeah.
On that bridge.
Yeah.
Are they like going to like Goldshire or something?
Yeah, I think they're going to Goldshire.
Which makes sense. Like that actually fit. But
like again, there's little fun nods.
It needed more money. It needed more of those though.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like we could have expanded a little bit because we didn't really see much of Deadwind Pass or
did they explain why Karazhan was like empty?
I think it's always kind of is. I think no. I don't like it's like I mean like no in game it was Medivh was kind of corrupted by Sargeras and like he was kind of kicking people out and Morose was obviously had kind of and several of his other attendants had kind of been swayed under his power and things of that sort, but most other people kind of left it, and also why it killed off Deadwind Pass for the most part. Like it's why it's an absolute just gray dusty zone area. But
I loved Karazhan though.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's still easily in my top 5 rates of the entire game. Still,
but I just laughed at would pipe. Didn't have to communicate on any of those fights, and would just pipe in Daft Punk.
Yeah,
and run through.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
What was it? Malevolent was the guild at the time before we dropped out of that and started our own. Yeah. It was that was always the problem. Was like people you would run in that. In Burning Crusade, it was tough because you'd always like run through Karazhan and you get people geared up, and then they would like leave and go to other guilds, and so you could never get past that because we're always like we couldn't do any of the other higher ones. One, because we were still trying to get 20, 25 people to do it, and we're stuck with like 10 to 15. So
it
was Karazhan all
and they course corrected that with the game with the subsequent expansions. Took that the learning curve with that was pretty brutal.
And the catch-up mechanics and stuff.
Yeah, so hear me out.
Yeah, okay. I'm here for it. I'm not going anywhere.
Like there was a perfect, as far as comedy, there would have been a perfect like opportunity to like recreate an actual WoW boss fight, including like not knowing the mechanics and like bad stuff happening to them, and then they like they have somebody that reses them like that's where D&D did so well is like they included so much of the humor of actually playing the game for real, and Warcraft did none of it. None of it. And it was like it was there for the taking, and I don't know, maybe it would have been too much inside baseball. Yeah. And that was the fear of like, oh, we can't do that. It's not, you have to have had to play the game and played in-game content to like understand the comedy. But it's like, but I don't know.
I don't know, but like I mean, you don't really play D&D much, but you enjoyed the movie a lot, and picked up a lot of those. Yeah. I
thought that was a sleeper hit of like whatever year that was.
2023? 2022?
22 or 23. I thought that was that was like my sleeper movie. Yeah. It was so much fun. It was so funny. Yeah, it was interesting having watched that and then going back to this and realizing like just how flawed this is, how much missed potential. That's my problem. It's untapped potential because the IP is there. Yeah. Or at least it was. I don't know. I don't know about now.
I mean, you still have a pretty decent player base. I mean, they're still printing money. They don't release numbers anymore of subscription, and obviously I think a lot of their players are still playing over in Europe and Asia, which have a different subscription structure than we do here in the States. But I mean, they're not closing anything down. They're still on track to release like two more expansions at least.
So they're saying between 7 and 8 million are still
in the U.S. or worldwide. I mean, that's still a lot. I mean, even if it's just a million in the U.S. I mean, you're looking at.
So they said it hit its peak in 2010.
Oh yeah, it was like 12
million. It was 12 million.
Yeah, good old that was like right as Ice Crown Citadel dropped. Everyone was jumping in. No, but we even think like $15 a month with 1 million players in the U.S. You know, you're printing $15 million every month. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's not too bad.
No, I don't know.
Now,
I understand their challenges because it's like even if you could get half of the player base to go watch the movie, that's still not like that much money.
No,
right?
half a million people watching this. So it's why I feel like, I mean, it's a crowded market now. I mean, you've got so many fantasy shows on streaming nowadays that you'd have to really do something to set yourself apart, because when you've got, though, I mean, some of them are being kicked. I know the one off of Wheel of Time, the Robert Jordan book series, has been canceled. So Ring of Power obviously is still going strong. Game of Thrones is over. House of Dragon is, I haven't heard much. I'm pretty sure they're doing a season 3, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know.
So yeah, this made twice as much, over double what Honor Among Thieves made.
Wow.
So
really?
Because Honor Among Thieves only made 205.
That's crazy.
Honor Among Thieves made 93 million in the U.S. and Canada.
Oh, so it doubled what it did in the U.S. That
close to
interesting. Yeah.
It was a better domestic product, but I don't think D&D has the worldwide global appeal that Warcraft has.
No, I mean, it's definitely seeing a resurgence. I don't know if it's getting a resurgence outside of the States as much, but I don't really know. I mean, I play with my little campaign group, and that's kind of where it's at. But I know it's bigger. I mean, like a lot of the students who worked for me or whatever, they were playing in groups. Like they had like 2 or 3 games running just within like the coworkers or whatever. It was really funny. So, not Dungeons and Dragons, not Warcraft.
Yeah.
They all thought I was a nerd for playing. So,
you are.
I mean, I am. Let's be honest.
Nerd alert.
It's still fun. That's all that matters to me. Oh, well, it's potential.
Yeah,
should have been better.
That's the name of the game. Yeah, it should have been much better. Yeah, not a failure. I don't think the studio is like super unhappy. I mean, it definitely wound up in the black, even with the marketing budget. So it was probably fine.
Yeah. Well, I got nothing else.
Well, that wraps up Warcraft, and I don't know that either of us are going to make a recommendation on Warcraft, but like, you'd have to be pretty. I don't know. I think you'd have to be pretty bored to want to throw this on.
Unless you're a huge Warcraft fan and for some reason have not seen it,
neglected to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, then there may be some little tidbits in there for you, but if that's not enough, you're just looking for some kind of high fantasy little, like, go watch Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Again,
exactly. Yeah,
like,
that's
Dungeons and Dragons would be better on a second watch than this would be on a first watch. You know, I'm sorry. And I know a couple people who do really like this movie, and so they're going to be very upset at me. But just go back and watch.
I can see you're very upset.
I can see you haven't seen me very upset. That's a different movie. But anyways,
moving on. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in this week.
Yes.
For a discussion on Warcraft from 2016. They don't always get it right, and
no.
I will reiterate. I think this was a movie done by committee, and you've got to have it's a team effort. Filmmaking is, but at the top you have to have a single vision caster.
Yeah.
That gets everybody to pull in the same direction, and this feels like a movie where that didn't. Appreciate you tuning in. We will be back next week.
Thanks, everybody.